Welcome to Celestial Zodiac. Today we're starting a new series on one of the most powerful and often misunderstood tools in astrology: progress charts. If you've ever felt like you're not the same person you used to be, even though your birth chart hasn't changed, this is exactly what progressions help explain. They don't describe what's happening around you. They describe what's changing within you. So what are progressions? Progressions represent your internal evolution over time. Your natal chart is your blueprint. It shows your core personality, your patterns, and your life themes. But you don't experience that blueprint the same way at every stage of your life. This is where progressions come in. A progress chart shows how your natal chart unfolds and matures as you grow. It's not a new chart replacing your birth chart. It's a symbolic way of tracking your psychological and emotional development. One of the most important distinctions to understand is the difference between progressions and transits. Transits describe external events and timing, what's happening around you in the real world. Progressions, on the other hand, describe your inner state, how you're evolving, what you're ready for, and how you're changing on the inside. This is why progressions often feel subtle, but powerful. Here's an example of a progress chart. What you're looking at here is an example of a bi-wheel chart. A bi-wheel chart shows two charts at the same time. The inner wheel represents your natal chart, which is your birth chart and your original blueprint. The outer wheel represents your progress chart, which shows how you have evolved over time. The natal chart stays the same, but the progress chart changes as you move through different phases of life. This allows you to compare who you were at birth with who you are becoming. When reading your own progress chart, the most important thing is not to try to read everything at once. Progress charts can feel overwhelming because they include a lot of information, but you can make it much easier by focusing on the most important pieces first. Start with the progressed moon, because this is usually the easiest and most noticeable part of the progress chart. The progressed moon shows your current emotional phase. Its sign reveals your emotional focus, while its house shows the area of life where you are growing internally. In this example, a progressed moon in Aries may show a period of increased independence, initiative, and a desire to take action. With the progressed moon in the 6th house, this energy is focused on daily routines, work, and health. This may be a time where you're driven to improve your daily habits or your health. Because the progressed moon changes signs roughly every 2 to 2.5 years, it is one of the clearest indicators of your current life phase. After the progressed moon, look at the progressed sun. The progressed sun shows a much larger life chapter and describes how your identity is developing over time. Because the progressed sun moves slowly and changes signs about every 30 years, a progressed sun sign change is usually a major turning point. Can show that your sense of self, your purpose, and your overall direction are shifting. In this example, someone's progressed sun moves from Scorpio into Sagittarius. They may be moving from a chapter of transformation and depth into a chapter focused more on adventure, freedom, and spirituality. Next, look for any progressed planets that have changed signs. Sign changes are important because they show that a part of your personality is evolving into a new expression. Pay special attention to the progressed Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. These personal planets are easier to feel in everyday life. A progressed Mercury sign change can describe a shift in how you think, communicate, and process information. A progressed Venus sign change can show changing relationship needs, values, or creative preferences. A progressed Mars sign change can describe a new way of using energy, motivation, desire, and assertiveness. After that, look at progressed aspects, especially aspects from progressed planets to your natal planets. In astrology, Aspects are the angles that planets make to each other, and they describe how different parts of your personality interact. Some aspects feel supportive and easy, while others create tension, pressure, or growth. When you're working with progressions, aspects show internal turning points, moments where something within you is shifting or being activated. For example, the progressed moon that forms a conjunct to your natal Venus may bring a strong emotional focus on love, connection, beauty, or relationships. The progressed sun that forms a square to your natal Saturn may describe a period of internal pressure, responsibility, discipline, and restructuring. These aspects don't always create immediate external events, but they do describe what you're working through internally. If you're not familiar with aspects yet, I have a full series on aspects that breaks them down step by step so you explore it in more detail. You can also look at house changes. When a progressed planet moves into a new house, your focus begins to shift toward a different area of life. For example, if the progressed moon enters the 10th house, career, reputation, goals, and public life may become more emotionally important. If it enters the 4th house, home, family, privacy, and emotional security may become the main focus. House changes help you understand where your inner growth is taking place. Finally, once you understand the progressed chart by itself, you can compare it with current transits. The previous chart shows your natal chart on the inside and your progressed chart on the outside. It does not include transits. Progressions and transits are two different systems. Progressions show your internal growth, while transits show external events and timing. When a progression and a transit both emphasize the same planet, house, or theme, that is often when something becomes more visible in real life. In other words, progressions show what is changing inside you, and transits often show when the outside world brings that change into motion. To learn more about transits, watch my series that explains transits in further detail. Now that you understand how to read a progressed chart, it's worth noting that progressions don't always show up as obvious events. Instead, they show up as shifts in mindset, emotional needs, and personal awareness. You might suddenly want different things. You might outgrow situations that once felt right. You might feel pulled in a new direction without fully understanding why. That's progression energy. Progressions often represent inner shifts that happen before outer changes. They show when you're emotionally ready for something, even if your external life hasn't caught up yet. And this is why they're so important, because progressions prepare you for transits. A transit might bring an opportunity into your life, but if your progressed chart doesn't show readiness, you may not take it, or even recognize it. Progressions show your internal timing, while transits show external timing. And when those two align, that's when major life changes tend to happen. The most commonly used system in astrology is called secondary progressions. This system is based on a simple but powerful idea. One day after your birth equals 1 year of your life. So, for example, if you want to understand your progressed chart at age 30, you would look at the positions of the planets 30 days after you were born. Symbolic, not literal, but it works incredibly well. This method reflects the idea that your life unfolds in stages, and each stage corresponds to a gradual shift in your inner world. Secondary progressions move very slowly, which is why their effects feel deep and long-lasting rather than sudden. For example, your progressed moon changes signs roughly every 2 to 2.5 years, marking emotional phases of your life. Your progressed sun changes signs only once every 30 years, representing major identity shifts and life chapters. These movements don't create events on their own, but they change how you experience life, how you respond, and what feels meaningful to you. That's why progressions are often described as showing maturation and awareness. They reflect who you are becoming, not just who you were at birth. You might ask, what's the difference between progressions, transits, and solar returns? To really understand astrology timing, it helps to see how these systems work together. Your natal chart is your foundation. It doesn't change, it's your core blueprint. Your progress chart shows how that blueprint is evolving over time. It reflects your inner growth, shifting identity, and changing priorities. And your transits show what's happening in the external world: opportunities, challenges, and real-life events. Then you also have solar returns, which act like a yearly snapshot or theme for your life based on your birthday. Each system plays a different role. Progressions do not replace your natal chart, they build on it. They don't override your personality, they show how it develops. And they don't predict events on their own. They show whether you're internally aligned with what's happening externally. This is why progressions are so powerful. Because they explain something that transits alone can't. Why the same opportunity can feel right at one point in your life and completely wrong at another. Progressions reveal your changing priorities, emotional needs, and personal direction. They show when you're ready to move forward and when you're still in a period of internal development. Understanding progressions is like understanding your own personal timeline of growth. They show who you're becoming and why certain phases of your life feel the way they do. In the next video, we're going to break this down even further by looking at one of the most important parts of progressions: the progressed moon and how it shapes your emotional cycles over time. Thank you for watching Celestial Zodiac. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss the next part of this series.